What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today I thought I'd do a video and share my thoughts about what you should think about when buying your first motorbike. Basically the way I'll go about this is I'll talk about my experience and then we'll figure out some points from there that you should sort of think about when you're looking at buying your first motorbike. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last 3 videos I've done. Thank you to all of you who've subscribed so far. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this video, real quick, hit the subscribe button and leave a like. Be greatly appreciated. So my first motorbike, I've only been riding for about 2 years now. And so my perspective and my thoughts regarding what you should think about when buying a motorbike is from the perspective of someone who's only been riding for 2 years. But I still feel like it's fairly valid. I can sort of share my experience to those who are looking to get into riding a motorbike or looking at buying their first motorbike. So yeah, my first motorbike, as soon as I finished getting my RE license, I was really into cafe races when I first started getting into motorbikes, and I ended up getting a 1979 Yamaha XS250, and man, let me tell you, it was a nightmare. I tell you that, it was such a nightmare. Reflecting back on my ownership experience with that and how I went about buying it, first of all, I rushed into it. After I'd got my license, I hadn't ridden for, I would say, a month or so, and I was really scared of forgetting how to ride. So I was like, oh, I really need to get a motorbike and I really want to start riding so I can practice. And like I said, I was into cafe races, so I really wanted to get a cafe race, and the XS250 that I found was exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, number one, I rushed into it. And number two, I definitely paid way more money than it was worth. I paid about 3 grand for that one when probably it was worth about 1,600. And actually, for context, when I ended up selling it, I sold it for about 1,500, I think. Yeah, so I lost a fair bit of money on that. So definitely keep that in mind when if you're looking to get a motorbike. First and foremost, don't rush. Take your time. Look at the options. It's not a race. Trust me, you're not gonna really forget how to ride like my mindset was. Especially once you get your first bike, once you start riding around, practicing, it'll all come back to you. It'll come naturally, especially if once you pass the test, it's pretty much ingrained in your brain and in your body how to ride. And you won't necessarily forget how to ride if you had gotten your license and then you're sitting on it for a month or so waiting to get a new bike. So don't rush, take your time. Go through bike sales, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, ask questions from the owners, see if they've had any issues with the bike, ask them about their ownership experience, and definitely look up reviews online as well. We're on a MT-07 today, obviously, and obviously I've done a review on this. I'll link that down below, so if anyone watching this is keen on purchasing a MT-07 and wants a little bit of information regarding it, I'll leave a link down below. And another thing was, with all the sort of drama I had with the XS250, mainly was to do with just the reliability of it. People say, oh, Japanese bikes are reliable, yada yada yada. It's true, I haven't really had any troubles with this one, with this MT-07, but that XS250 was old, and honestly that type of bike is more or less for someone who's very mechanically savvy, has a lot of time on their hands, if you want to take apart a carburetor, rebuild it, etc, etc, which I didn't. And when I started having problems, I sent it to a mechanic, which even though it's a private mechanic, for that kind of work on an engine, it really did cost me a fair bit, and having to get parts as well, which was a real pain, because a particular part that we needed for that bike, I had to source it from the UK, and it took a while. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at a bike that you want to buy. Search up the maintenance manual online and see what the maintenance schedules are like. Usually on the maintenance or service manual, it'll tell you what work needs to get done every so often, or however many kilometers. So I know for the MT-07, for example, if you bought it brand new, once you break it in and everything, it's about just a minor service, or an oil change and just a check of fluids and tightening things up every 10,000 kilometers. But then there is a major service for this at 40,000 kilometers, and I'm already at above, where are we at? Yeah, 68,000. So almost ran into that car. So yeah, keep that in mind, and that major service means checking valves, etc., etc., and keep that in mind. Obviously you got to factor in budget. Do you want a bike that you don't want to spend a lot of money on, that doesn't have relatively small maintenance intervals? So keep that in mind. And I guess the other question is what type of bike to buy. So I know I keep going on about the XS250, and this is sort of my main point when you're looking at getting a motorbike. Obviously we all have our desires, it's all about heart, right? Like what we're drawn to. And for me, I was drawn to the cafe races. I really love the styling. Yeah, I loved it. It's very unique in my perspective. But it was such an old bike, and yeah, I really would not recommend anyone looking to buy a new bike to start off with something like that. Unless you have the budget, then you can get one of those, a modern day cafe racer, a Triumph, a Thruxton, or a street cup. Those look awesome. I hope one day I could own one of those, or even get a hold of one to take for a test ride. It's starting to rain. I better get it back. Yeah, so a lot of people ask, what sort of CCs should you start off with? For me personally, one thing that a positive that I do take away from owning that XS250s, I'm glad I bought that bike with only 250cc's, because it gets you used to riding first of all, especially once you start practicing filtering, maybe even going for the odd spirited ride. It's a good sort of starting point. So maybe a 250-300 is definitely a good starting point. Now keep in mind, again, going back to budget, what you can do, keep your budget to relatively small. Don't buy brand new. This is the first time you're buying a motorbike, and this is the first time you're getting into riding motorbikes. Definitely don't buy brand new, because I'll tell you right now, you are going to drop your first motorbike. I dropped that XS250 a fair few times, and it's part of the learning process. And every rider's dropped their bike or had a crash, so it's sort of part of the process. So keep that in mind. Definitely my thoughts in regard to whether you should buy a brand new or not is I would buy used, and I feel like you wouldn't feel bad dropping a used bike a few odd thousand Ks on it compared to buying a brand new bike with 0 Ks, And that was the thing with that XS250. As horrible of an ownership experience it was for me, when I dropped it, yeah, I felt kind of bad at first, for the first second or so, but then I realized, it's a really old bike, so I dropped it. It's not really that big of a deal. But I definitely think if I bought something brand new, if I'd financed and bought something brand new for my first ever bike, and I dropped it like that, I would be yeah, I'll be heartbroken. So yeah, keep that in mind. Definitely buy used. That's pretty much all the thoughts I can I have on, you know, buying first motorbike. What I say is, don't rush into buying. Yeah, take your time, explore all the options you have. If you're afraid whether 250, 300 cc's is enough, don't be afraid. Just purchase it, ride it for 6 months. You know, you're spending the bare minimum, and then yeah, trade it in or just save up while you're riding that one around. So yeah, this is just my opinion based off my experience. I learned a very valuable lesson from, you know, the way I went about purchasing my first bike, and hopefully that helps you figure out, you know, how to go about buying your first motorbike. Hey, hello. I definitely do recommend stay away from really old bikes like that XS250 that I bought, not especially something from 1979. Those are great if you want like a project bike, or if you're mechanically savvy, you know, you can get one, work on it, ride around. But bikes like the Ninja 300, 250, it's really good options to go with, and then ride that around for a few months, and then after that buy one of these bad boys, and then yeah, go do your wheelies. No, don't do your wheelies. This bike does wheelie if you want it to. Sometimes even when you don't want it to, it'll. That guy was just giving me a weird eye. So yeah, I hope that all made sense to you guys. Hope you guys got something out of that, and hope you enjoyed the video. Again, leave a like and subscribe. I'm still very new to this whole YouTube thing and putting out videos, so hopefully the quality will get better as time goes on. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have any ideas for what sort of videos I should do, let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, leave a comment as well regarding what we've talked about today. And yeah, happy hunting, and hope you guys enjoy riding your first motorbike and stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.